Hollywood Squares, tomorrow at 10:30 on WTAE-TV.
The court is civilized, isn't it, Pig?
But I'm not. This is where the law stops. And I start.
This is Hollywood's vision of fighting crime. Tough, no holes barred. Could the war on drugs make it closer to reality? Good evening. I'm Charles Gibson, and this is Nightline. How far is too far in fighting the war on drugs? We'll talk tonight to New York City Mayor Ed Koch, to a top official of the Justice Department, and to a legal counsel for the American Civil Liberties Union.
This is ABC News Nightline. Substituting for Ted Koppel and reporting from Washington, Charles Gibson.
The House of Representatives last week took up probably the toughest anti-drug bill, certainly the most expensive in history. Then made it even tougher and even more expensive and passed it by a landslide. The anti-drug zeal that swept the House prompted one doubter to remark the bill had become the legislative equivalent of the new drug crack. A short-term high, he said, but a long-term danger. A lot of very controversial proposals discussed for years are suddenly being proposed as law. The president today, for instance, ordered wide-scale drug testing for some government employees. Has it gone too far? Has a kind of narcomania swept up the politicians? Here's Nightline's Jeff Greenfield.
Losing the battle.
It's this year's big political cause.
The number one cause of the kind of crime that you deal with every day is drugs. And that is a war that we can win.
We're at war with drugs. And it'll stop the drug dealers if they know that when they get here, we'll have our U.S. Marine.
Confront the drug problem head on, from cracking down on pushers to educating our young people. Drug abuse is a national crisis.
It's this season's major media obsession.
Crack. Vials like this one are turning up empty and discarded in the streets.
Cocaine has been getting the most publicity. Our poll tells us that 8% of Americans have tried it.
It's the first family's first public concern.
Drugs are menacing our society. They're threatening our values and undercutting our institutions. They're killing our children.
Many of you may be thinking, well, drugs don't concern me, but it does concern you. It concerns us all.
Suddenly, a social ill that has afflicted America for a century has become topic A. And last week, an all but unanimous House of Representatives turned this anxiety into what could become the most far-reaching drug law in history. By a vote of 392 to 16, the House passed a bill that would add $2 billion in federal spending to the fight against drugs, require the immediate use of the military to substantially halt the drug flow into the country within 45 days, impose a life sentence, a mandatory life sentence, on anyone convicted for a second time of selling drugs to minors, impose the death penalty for drug-related murders, and permit the use of some illegally seized evidence in federal trials. And today, President Reagan announced his proposals, including mandatory drug testing for some federal employees.
We're getting tough on drugs, and we mean business. To those who are thinking of using drugs, we say stop. And to those who are pushing drugs, we say beware.
If there really is going to be a war on drugs, here's where it'll be fought out: in the courtrooms and prosecutors' offices across the country. And among the experts, there's a lot of disagreement about the strategy, the tactics, the weaponry, even the whole idea of a war on drugs. For example, the House passed the death penalty provision over the objections of the usually pro-capital punishment Reagan administration, and by a relatively close vote.
There can be no ultimate war on drugs if we do not cast our ultimate weapon to place the fear of capital punishment in front of the drug czar who does anything he wants as we sit and stand here today.
It is true that drugs are a terrible thing. It is not true that simply by the legislative equivalent of a tantrum, we can make drugs go away. And I think we ought to deal with this problem a little bit more seriously.
Critics also point to the past, to prohibition, our effort to end the horrors of alcohol abuse by forbidding liquor. They point to scare tactics against marijuana, exemplified by the film Reefer Madness.
Failing this, the next tragedy may be that of your daughter.
or your son, or yours, or yours, or yours.
The one puff will kill tone may actually have hurt efforts to warn of the real dangers of the drug. Indeed, we've had a whole series of wars on drugs by presidents.
Our goal is the unconditional surrender of the merchants of death who traffic in heroin. Our goal is the total banishment of drug abuse from American life.
And by governors like New York State's Nelson Rockefeller, who led a campaign in the early 1970s for life sentences for some drug sales. Bronx District Attorney Mario Merola first came to his job when those harsh drug laws took effect.
No, it did not work. It did not work at all, and we are now experiencing some of the same type of hysteria that we've seen in the past. When they talk about drugs around the schools or in the neighborhood and people congregating, it's a real problem. And they're looking for simple, quick solutions, which are not available.
Arnold Trebach teaches criminal justice at American University.
I think that if they put soldiers at every port with fixed bayonets inspecting virtually every package, they would not completely eliminate the problem, and in the end, they'd invade the rights of all of us. On tobacco, we lost 380,000 people last year. Alcohol, 150,000. My argument is, put it in perspective, cool it. We are not in danger of being destroyed by illicit drugs.
With polls suggesting that most Americans now regard drugs as the biggest domestic problem of all, with dozens of bills now pending in state legislatures, there will be a spate of new laws on drugs. But what will they accomplish, and at what cost?
For the sake of our children, I implore each of you to be unyielding and inflexible in your opposition to drugs.
My overall reaction to the House bill and to the current crusade is that it takes a problem, which is a severe problem, and treats it as if it were a national catastrophe. It is not a national catastrophe. If we keep at it, it will become one.
We're at a point now where legitimate concerns and political posturing have combined to hurl the drug issue to the top of the national agenda. That creates an opportunity. It also creates a danger. This is Jeff Greenfield for Nightline in New York.
Later in this broadcast, we're going to be joined by Stephen Trott, who oversees the Justice Department's drug policy. But first, when we come back, New York City's Mayor, Ed Koch, and Richard Emery of the American Civil Liberties Union, with two opposing views on how tough is too tough.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Ford.
In 1986, nationwide surveys of American drivers showed that for 6 years running,
Ford has designed and built the highest quality American cars and trucks.
Surveys showed that among American manufacturers, our 81s are better. Our 82s, 83s, 84s, 85s, and again today, our 86s are the best.
No other company can make this statement. Ford promises, Ford delivers, quality is job one.
See that kid down there? I'm going to get him back in the classroom where he belongs. I've seen it happen all too many times. Brains, talent, we'll never know his potential if he stays down there. It's incredible. Almost 1 out of 3 kids today is a dropout. Well, I'm not going to let this one get away. I think it's time I got some gas.
Letitia Ponce, another NEA member who's doing something about the dropout crisis.
When you come to Meineke Discount Mufflers, relax.
I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
You're not going to pay a lot for your muffler.
I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
Meineke's the nation's discount muffler leader. We'll fix your car the right way at the right price from $18.93 installed.
Oh, I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
You're not going to pay a lot at Meineke.
In America, it's grown up with Donahue. It's the freedom of expression. It's the place to air your views. Speak your mind, America. America speaks its mind. Speak your mind, America. America speaks its mind.
Tomorrow at 9 here on Channel 4.
There is disturbing new evidence on the effects of cocaine. We'll see what it really does to our bodies as our series, Drugs USA, continues. Tomorrow on World Views Tonight.
With us live in our New York studios is the mayor of New York City, Ed Koch, and Richard Emery, legal counsel of the New York branch of the American Civil Liberties Union. Mr. Mayor, I was interested to hear the Bronx District Attorney saying that we're now in a sort of anti-drug hysteria, looking for simple, easy solutions. You were up on the Hill pushing for the House bill this past week. Are you part of that hysteria?
I disagree with the characterization. I believe that the word war is applicable here. You cannot tell me that we should take lightly the fact that the federal government says there are 5 million cocaine regular abusers, 25 million people who have used cocaine, 500,000 heroin abusers, regular addicts. I believe it's the scourge of America. I think the comments made by a number of people who preceded me simply try to trivialize the issue. I believe that the House legislation, which was just passed, should be accepted by the Senate and signed by the President. I'm glad that the President is seeking to have legislation, but the proposal that he has made falls far short of what the House of Representatives has proposed.
All right, we're going to start running down the House bill, but let me go to Mr. Emery for a minute. Do you think it's hysteria, or do you think, as the mayor said, it's the other people have trivialized this situation?
Well, there's no doubt that the drug problem in America is serious, but it is a hysterical time that we see now. Politicians in this country are pandering to the public fears and offering solutions that simply will not work. There's no hope that these criminal justice solutions will be effective. We've tried them over and over again. Here in New York, we had the Rockefeller drug laws. It simply doesn't work. Drug use skyrocketed while penalties got harsher. This is not the approach. The approach is through addiction services, peer pressure, and education. And the House bill doesn't do anything for that. They've got nobody's willing to put their money where their mouth is. That's the problem here.
Let's talk about some of the provisions in the House bill, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
The Secretary of Defense today called the idea of putting the military at the borders to be absurd and futile.
Well, let me tell you that Secretary Weinberger believed it was okay to send military troops to Bolivia where they can't do anything, looking for some factories that probably don't exist, or if they do exist and are eliminated, are replaced the next day. The reason that Secretary Weinberger and the President don't want to have the military asked to do the job is that the military is afraid it will fail. Now, if the President calls it a war on drugs and says that they are murdering our children, I think that's the quote. If the Russians were coming, and thank God they're not, wouldn't he use the military? Well, the drug pushers and the drug smugglers not only are coming, they are coming over the border every single day.
Mr. Emery?
Well, the problem here is that, as the mayor would have it, we would have a police state. We would have a police state not with police, however, but with the military not only at our borders, but inside our borders. His proposal is to strip search everybody that comes into the country. He gave that at the Washington Press Club a couple of years ago. Now, that's the kind of sheer nonsense, invading the privacy rights, the dear privacy rights which this country has, which other countries don't have, and make it the place where we want to live. And what they would do is throw all of that out, throw all of our hard-fought constitutional rights out, just on the excuse that we're going to fight drugs. It's nonsense.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead,
Sand in your eyes. I happen to have suggested strip searches as one possibility. That's not in the legislation, and Dick Emery knows it. So let's talk about the legislation.
Luckily, the mayor's not in charge of the legislation.
The legislation that the House of Representatives passed says that you will use the Navy. Do you know that the Navy today cannot stop ships on the high seas to interdict them for drugs? Do you know that the federal government has said, statistics that they released 2 years ago, when I mentioned this at the National Convention in San Francisco that the Democrats held and said it was the scourge of America, they said that 6 out of every 100 ships carrying drugs are interdicted. That means that 94 are not. They said that 1% of the 18,000 non-commercial planes coming into this country bringing drugs are interdicted.
But, Mayor, you know as well as I do that there's no way to stop drugs at the border. The fact is you can carry $500,000 worth of cocaine in your jacket pocket. You think there's going to be any way of stopping that kind of intrusion?
I absolutely.
It's not going to happen.
I don't agree with you at all. It happens that at this particular moment, the Drug Enforcement Agency has about 2,000 drug enforcement agents. The head of that agency 2 or 3 years ago said he needed 40,000. That is what the military would be doing. I am simply saying that if you perceive it to be a war, if you believe, as I believe, that when a majority of America decides to legalize drugs, and it may very well be that the New York Civil Liberties Union believes that drugs should be legalized. I don't know. I do not.
Before we get into those kind of attacks, Mr. Mayor, let me come back to another question. The House bill would make mandatory life in prison for 2 convictions of an adult for selling hard drugs to minors. That means if he sells 5 amphetamines to a minor twice and gets convicted for it, he has to be thrown in jail. It didn't work with Nelson Rockefeller. Why is it going to work now?
Let me just say this. It didn't work with Nelson Rockefeller because they didn't try to use it. It's the same thing as saying that the death penalty is not a deterrent. If you don't use the death penalty in sufficient numbers, it's not a deterrent. Use it in sufficient numbers, try it, and you'll find, in my judgment, that it will be a deterrent. I am simply saying, instead of knocking the bill, understand that there is a scourge here. This is not hysteria. The country is now inundated with drugs, $120 billion annually in street value.
Well, you know, if the mayor were truly serious about this as a scourge, as about a real war on drugs, we would be putting money into addiction services. And the fact of the matter is the fellow who gets life imprisonment will probably wait in line 6 months in New York City, where the Addiction Services Agency was defunded by the mayor in 1978.
I've got to step in.
And there simply hasn't been any funding for this kind of real help yet.
I've got to step in, take a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Associate Attorney General Stephen Trott, who heads the Justice Department's Criminal Division, and through it, the Department's Drug Enforcement Policy.
At Dean Witter, we'll help you put your financial life in order with a combination of investments that'll fit your needs just right.
Everybody is somebody at Dean Witter.
A member of the Sears Financial Network.
As your life changes, your needs change. That's why you'll find experts in investments and real estate and insurance together at the Sears Financial Network. Come to a center at Sears or a member office for advice you can trust.
In 1986, and for 6 years running, Ford made a commitment to quality.
Because quality is job one, all the bumpers in our cars are 4 times as strong as the government requires, which may result in lower repair costs.
And nationwide surveys show that we're designing and building the highest quality American cars and trucks.
Ford promises, Ford delivers, quality is job one.
An ounce of gold, an ounce of zinc. Which is more important for your good health? Zinc is more precious than gold for maintaining good health. Z-Bec is one vitamin formula that's rich in zinc, a mineral essential to bones and red blood cells. And Z-Bec has 6 B-complex vitamins and vitamin C, vitamins your body cannot store, plus vitamin E. If you're not sure you're getting enough zinc and vitamins in your diet, get Z-Bec, rich in zinc, more precious than gold for your good health.
Are you a female executive earning $18,000 or more? The National Association for Female Executives is for you. Join 200,000 career-minded decision makers, women succeeding today and shaping tomorrow.
Very interesting.
NAFI, strong support networks nationwide for personal and professional growth. Call 1-800-543-1300 to join.
NAFI, an association for women like me who are on the move. Regional seminars, aptitude testing, resume reviews, business contacts, tremendous benefits. I'm going to join. 1-800-543-1300.
To join NAFI, call now and have your credit card ready for a year's worth of benefits, just $29. Call now and receive the Gold MasterCard as a bonus. Membership includes the Executive Female Magazine, career and financial management tools, and more. The National Association for Female Executives is for you. It's my association, too. Call 1-800-543-1300 now. Hi, can I help you?
Joining us now live in our Washington Bureau is Associate Attorney General Stephen Trott, who is responsible for enforcing drug policy at the Justice Department. Mr. Trott, the President today announced a policy that will rely to a great extent on drug testing, urine testing, of government employees who are in sensitive positions and have security issues in their domain. How many people are going to be tested? There's 2.8 million federal employees. How many will be tested?
First, let me indicate that we do not intend to rely in great part on the drug testing program. That's an important part of it. And it's unknown at this time how many federal employees will be tested. That will be left up to agency heads who will decide exactly who will be tested.
But why propose something like this without knowing specifically who's going to be tested and how many?
Well, I think it's very simple. What we've done is laid out what we think will be a very comprehensive program, but recognizing that all agencies have a little bit of a different handle on this, we've asked agency heads, the President has, to come up with a program that will require mandatory testing for sensitive employees and voluntary testing for others. So until we go through the process, we'll be unable to tell exactly how many people will be tested.
You know the courts have been very reluctant to allow this kind of testing of government employees. What makes you think it'll work now?
We're convinced that under the current circumstances, this test will be proved to be constitutional. We're in a situation now, accurately described by Mayor Koch, where the country has a real serious problem on its hands. And I think under the circumstances, a drug testing program is appropriate. Let me try to draw a parallel. A number of years ago, we used to be able to get on our airplanes and fly from city to city without going through magnetometers and having our baggage searched at the gate. We developed a serious problem. You couldn't take an airplane flight without ending up in Cuba. We had to put in a fairly comprehensive program in our airports to stop this from happening, and the courts, when weighing the problem against the intrusion in one's personal life, decided this was constitutional. Well, this is somewhat analogous to what we think we're now going to find with drug testing.
All right, Mr. Emery, let me go to you. What's your reaction
to
this?
Well, that analogy is just absolutely improper in this case. You're talking about taking hundreds and thousands, millions of American workers, because this will have a ripple effect in private industry, and bringing them in front of somebody else and asking them to urinate into a bottle in the presence of another person, asking them to prove themselves innocent without any evidence of their guilt. And as I understand it, the administration's policy is to do random, indiscriminate drug testing. That simply is not the American way, to put people on the horns of the dilemma of proving themselves innocent when there's no reason to believe that they're guilty.
Where did the phrase random indiscriminate come from?
So.
Mr. Emery, where did the phrase random indiscriminate come from?
Well, my sense is that it's left up to the agency heads, and the indications are from this executive order that this is going to be indiscriminate drug testing. There is no basis to believe that they're going to limit it to people who are suspected based on reasonable suspicion.
Mr. Trott?
Well, it's clear to me that Mr. Emery hasn't even read the proposal, because if he had, he would recognize that we have taken into consideration a right of privacy here. This is going to be a drug testing program that will not require people to urinate in front of somebody else. There'll be a privacy interest that will be respected. Secondly, what we're saying to agency heads is identify your sensitive employees, like air traffic controllers, like Secret Service agents, like FBI agents, like people who are getting paid with federal taxpayers' money to take care of the federal business and to hold in their hands the health, safety, and security of American citizens. And under those circumstances, we believe that the program is measured, it's careful, and it takes into consideration the legitimate privacy interests of employees. It also takes into consideration, however, the legitimate interest that government has in making sure that federal employees attend to federal business in a drug-free way.
Mr. Mayor, let me put you in the middle of this for a minute, if I can. Are you disturbed somewhat about the question that Mr. Emery raises about the loss of privacy and loss of rights and the...
Let me tell you where Mr. Emery's coming from. He told me while we were off the air that the New York Civil Liberties Union believes in legalizing the use of drugs, cocaine, and heroin.
That is absolutely irrelevant to the point here.
Hold on, you're embarrassed.
No, it's not embarrassing.
You are embarrassed,
but Mr. Mayor, it's irrelevant.
It is irrelevant to the point here.
Let me interrupt you, Mr. Mayor. No, let me interrupt. It is not irrelevant to the constitutional question that is involved, which is a right of an individual to have privacy, and to be presumed innocent.
Let me address the question. I believe that the test in a random way, in a mandatory way, of those who are involved in life and safety is appropriate. I want the air controllers to be tested. I want the cops who are involved in drug interdiction, 1,000 of them, are to be tested, as Commissioner Ben Ward has asked, and a court has told us we can't do it. We're appealing that decision. We believe ultimately the courts will say that if you select the particular professions that you want tested and you make the case generically on the basis of health and safety, that it will be upheld.
We agree completely with the mayor.
Good.
All right, let me take a break. As long as we have two-thirds agreement for the moment, and I know, Mr. Emery, you don't, but we're going to take a break for a minute. We'll continue our discussion in a moment.
Out here, it's me alone against the courts. But in the financial world,
You need all the help you can get. You need the PaineWebber Army behind you.
Even golf legends can use some financial backup. PaineWebber is ready to roll, putting all its resources at your command. We believe the quality of life just might depend on the quality of your financial services.
Thank you, PaineWebber. That's the kind of army you want behind you.
I owe a lot to Mr. Whedon. I quit, but he didn't. That guy really stayed on my case. You see, he knew where I was headed as a dropout. I would have spent the rest of my life going nowhere.
Really been missing you. How's it been going?
So he didn't lecture. He didn't argue. He came and got me. I'll never forget that teacher.
Frank Wheaton, another NEA member who's doing something about the dropout crisis.
Introducing the Canon Sure Shot Supreme. It's so automatic, you can't take a bad shot.
I can take a bad shot, like my backlit shot.
Nope. Sure Shot's Auto Flash corrects backlighting.
My too close shot.
Its autofocus gets you this close.
My no-hand shot. Shot in the dark shot.
With the Sure Shot Supreme, every shot's a sure shot. And its battery lasts about 5 years.
Not a bad shot.
The new Canon Sure Shot Supreme. So advanced, every shot's a sure shot.
You know, soft cleansers are a great idea, except for one thing. They don't clean that well.
Here's one that does. A soft cleanser that cleans so well, it lets the shine come through. Mr. Clean Soft Cleanser, with an active formula that actually cuts through grease and grime on contact. So Mr. Clean cleans better.
He safely cleans with lots and lots and lets the shine come through.
You're quite a man.
The better cleaning soft cleanser from Mr. Clean.
Angel dust, a drug problem as severe as cocaine. Its high literally makes one go crazy.
Tomorrow on ABC's World News This Morning.
Before Good Morning America.
I'm David Hartman in the Philippines. Now that Marcos is gone, can Corazon Aquino make democracy work here? We'll learn more this week on Good Morning America.
Continuing our conversation now, if you'll forgive me, the three of you, a cynical comment from a reporter, but all of this comes 2 months before the election. Mr. Trott, why shouldn't this be considered by the public just one more election move?
Well, because this administration designated the war on drugs as the #1 federal law enforcement priority in the United States in 1981. And since that time, we have thrown the full weight of the federal enforcement agencies against this problem. And I think what that shows, among other things, is that the observation that law enforcement can't do it by itself is correct. We've got to get out there with effective and efficient drug education programs, and we've got to get to the point where the young children in the United States say no to drugs and resist that first use.
Mr. Emery,
You know, as late as it is, after the football game in the middle of the night here, the fact of the matter is that this is not a regular old Nightline debate between the mayor, Mr. Trott, and myself. These proposals have the most severe consequences for American society if they're adopted. We're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The Constitution goes down the drain in the ways that American workers are to be protected and respected on the job, in the ways that we as citizens have a right to be left alone. These are the kinds of things that make this country great, those values, and we're going to lose them because we're not solving a problem that we should be solving in a completely different way.
Mr. Mayor, the last 20 seconds.
I believe that the president ought to call in Jim Wright and Senator Bob Dole and work out the strongest possible bill. I believe that the New York Civil Liberties Union is caught in a time warp. They believe that drugs should be legal. Most
Again,
of
it's
America
it's irrelevant to the point here for personal use.
I've got to stop you, and I apologize. I wish we had more time. It is not a regular old debate, and I thank all three of you for joining us. In a related matter, since the death last June of its basketball star Len Bias, the University of Maryland, perhaps more than any other college, has had to publicly grapple with the problems of drugs on campus and the conflict between academics and athletics. This Wednesday and Thursday, Ted Koppel is going to focus on those issues as Nightline broadcasts from the College Park campus of the University of Maryland before an audience of some 1,200 people. We hope you'll watch. That's our report for tonight. I'm Charles Gibson in Washington. Ted Koppel will be back tomorrow, and for all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been Nightline. For a transcript of tonight's broadcast, send $2 to Journal Graphics, Box 234, Ansonia Station, New York, New York, 10023. Nightline is a presentation of ABC News.
He holds the key to Chicago's heart.
I hope this works. Are you kidding? People are going to love it.
She's got a line on the city beat.
I want you here with me tonight.
You want me not to write the story?
A special premiere of Jack and Mike tomorrow.
It's the dawn of a brand new day.
Introducing new Sunspray Coast. Same great Coast lather, but a whole new scent.
Sunspray picks you up in a brand new way. Like the fresh, clean feeling of a brand new day. Coast picks you up and makes you feel alive. Yeah, Coast, feel alive with Coast.
New Sunspray Coast and invigorating regular Coast, too.
Ever since things have been made out of metal, there's been rust. And the way to fight rust is with Rust-Oleum. Rust-Oleum renews. Rust-Oleum restores. Rust-Oleum makes things look good longer. No ordinary paint can match its durability, because no ordinary paint has Rust-Oleum's unique protective barrier. Nobody fights rust like Rust-Oleum.
Millions have seen the Topol Smoker's Handkerchief Test. After seeing how tobacco stains and nicotine discolors their teeth, millions switched to Topol Smoker's Tooth Polish. They saw how Topol with fluoride safely removes newly deposited tobacco particles, and how regular brushing with Topol helps clean away built-up stains, so teeth become cleaner and whiter. Keep Topol on your toothbrush twice a day, every day, and you can keep your handkerchief in your pocket. Topol, the only toothpaste a smoker needs.
You're going to